Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of Willow's journey. We finished up her last video by recapping her life from 8 weeks to 1 year old. So for 2 weeks she was a typical happy puppy, and then at 10 weeks old I noticed fear that quickly turned into reactivity, and now we will carry on with part 2. Willow is 1 year old. We dropped out of puppy class 2 times. At this point, I have been working at a boarding and training facility, so she's gone to work with me several times by now. I decide to keep taking her to work for training opportunities, although work is stressful for her because all of her triggers are there. I try to make the best of it for her and have fun. But ultimately, when we go home, the stress has taken its toll. For the rest of the day at home, she will want to be off by herself, chewing on a toy and decompressing. She will be very crabby with everyone in the household for the rest of the day. So it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I want to take her to work for training opportunities, but I also see how stressed out she is. So what I end up doing is, instead of taking her a couple days a week, I only take her 1 day a week. In the meantime, I'm searching for more answers for her reactivity. I reach out to Willow's breeder and ask if she remembers anything that could have happened to Willow to scare her enough to get her behavior the way it is now. She said something like, "No, but you know, Chihuahuas, they always want to be boss, haha." That response annoyed me so much. Not only was she breeding Chihuahuas, but she also believes all of the bad stereotypes about them, and I will never go back to her. So now it's back to the drawing board. I go on the internet and find a trainer telling a story about her own dog that was having behavior changes. It had to do with thyroid issues. I will look into anything at this point. So I take Willow to vet to get a full thyroid panel reading. Once again, we are greeted with stereotypes. The front desk girl asks what brings us in, so we tell her about Willow. She asks for the breed and then laughs when we say Chihuahua. Literally, nobody understands how serious I am about my girls. So Willow gets her blood drawn and we wait for the results. They come back a couple weeks later. Her thyroid is perfectly fine. The vet has no other suggestions for us though, and that really frustrated me because I told them how much I've been working with her. They didn't try to help anymore at this point. They didn't even mention Prozac. So at this point, I feel really defeated. I cut back even more on taking Willow to work. She gets enrichment training at home and the occasional park and store visit. Besides the reactivity out in public, I see her resource guarding more at home and in general being on alert in the house, generally barking at something that I can't even figure out what's causing her to trigger, and none of the other dogs are triggered either. At this time, I got interested in nutrition because of Bella. She was acting weird in the agility ring, not wanting to take jumps and disengaging with me. Gut health wasn't on my radar yet. I ordered a food intolerance test and a vitamin and mineral test for her. The results were so interesting that I decided to test all of my dogs. I got Willow's test results back. She has intolerance to some of the foods I've been giving her, as well as deficiencies in vitamin B2, B3, D3, 4 amino acids, calcium, iron, and selenium. She was also intolerant to several synthetic vitamins and minerals. One big one that really stuck out to me is she has a severe intolerance to the amino acid tryptophan. And that's a big one. That is the precursor to serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone. That totally blew my mind. So at this point, I realized I need to make some diet changes. However, because I've been struggling so much with Willow, I wasn't ready to take her off of kibble yet. I had this weird thing, like the kibble was a safety net. And I was honestly concerned to take her off of it. I actually took Bella Gracie and Lily off of kibble first and went to a more whole food diet. But when it came to Willow, I cut her kibble portion in half, and then with the other half I added more fresh whole foods. But the interesting thing is a lot of kibble uses synthetic vitamins and minerals. So the whole time I was trying to be careful and cautious with her, but I was probably still doing harm because she was still getting foods that she was intolerant to. So she was on a partial kibble, partial whole food, natural food diet for probably about 8 to 9 months. So we've stayed pretty stagnant. About a year and a half to a little over 2 years old, I was just kind of at a loss. You know, I had upgraded her food. Of course, I knew nutrition would take a while to kick into her system. So I knew that that would probably take several months if I was going to see any progress. So at this point now, she is well into being a 2-year-old. And yeah, we're just kind of getting by. I'm doing enrichment at home, taking her to work maybe once a week, if that. And I'm still just really fed up and defeated feeling, because even though I had changed up her diet a little bit, after a few months, her behavior was still the same, and our training was still not making any progress. Now, that will bring us more to current times, so I will shut this video down in a second here. So in about April of this year, we actually have a new kind of employee mentor at my work, and this lady is known for fear-free practices at vet clinics, and she's seen a lot of dogs with behavior issues. So I was like, this is great. I'm gonna pick her brain and see what she thinks. So without seeing Willow in person or even seeing any videos, just me describing Willow to her, immediately she said, Prozac. You need to get her on Prozac. Yes, Willow, I'm talking about you. I'm always talking about you. And honestly, I'm not a fan of that, but because I've been trying so much with Willow, I was staying open to it. So of course I talked to a bunch of other trainers about it, and of course, you know, a lot of them are for it. They're like, hey, it wouldn't hurt to try. I'm still on the fence about this. So I decide to reach out to my mentor, and this is a trainer that I started training with Lily when Lily was a puppy, and then she ended up moving away to Georgia. So she always says, like, you can call me, you know, we can talk if you have anything you know you need to work out. But I always feel like, I don't know, weird about it. So I hadn't reached out to her until now, because she knows my dogs really well, and I just have a lot of trust in her. She's never steered me wrong. She's kind of like no bullshit either. She tells it how it is. So I decided that I would set up a virtual appointment with her and send her some videos of Willow at home and at work so she can watch her behavior, and then we can just talk all this out and see what she has to say. So that is where I'm gonna leave you guys today. So in video 3, we're gonna wrap this up, and I'll let you know what my trainer thought and where we went from there. Okay, Willow, come here. Come say goodbye. Bye, everybody. We'll see you in the next video.